Okay, so how many of us here had to pay to be sitting in class right now? We had to pay to go to school. So that's like pretty much all of us. I know I'm in the same boat as you guys, and you know, we have to work at the same time in order for us to pay to be here. Well, according to the College Board, over the past 30 years, tuition costs have been rising steadily each year at a rate of about 10%. This is over the past 30 years, since about the late 70s. I know my first semester of college, I had to pay $240 for tuition to go full time, and like an extra like $200 to $300 for fees and for books and stuff like that. And this was before we even had that tuition increase from $20 to $26 that we saw, what was it, like 2 semesters ago. So today I want to talk about why tuition costs should go back down to $20 instead of being $26. Why financial aid doesn't work for students like us, and why we need to speak out against it. To start out, education is the greatest chance that we have for upward mobility in this country, which is like to better ourselves and to be better off than our parents were. And I think that was the American dream. Post World War II, or actually since the beginning of our country, the American dream was to always be able to move up in this country as long as you work hard and if you go to school. But now with tuition costs rising, that's becoming increasingly hard to do, and we're seeing our country become more and more aristocratic, where only the rich can achieve an education and earn any money in this country. And according to the Information Clearinghouse, the top 1% of our country controls about 1/4 of our country's wealth, which goes to show that over the past 30 years, that money's been going upward. So I think tuition costs are contributing to that, because we see a correlation between the two. When tuition costs have gone up, so has the wealth gone up to the top 1%. And I think we are in a time of great financial need, but by raising costs for colleges, especially like community colleges like ours, we're not really doing what we should be doing. I think other sections of government should be feeling that financial squeeze instead of our education system, since education should probably be first in the country. According to the Lumina Foundation for Education, 39% of college or kids our age are achieving 2 to 4 year degrees, which kind of sounds like a lot, but since World War II, we've been the leader in the world as far as getting those degrees goes, but we're seeing it be stagnant, and it's not growing. And actually Canada's at 55% of kids our age receiving 2 to 4 year degrees, and I think we should be experiencing more growth. And I think that has a lot to do with tuition costs rising over the past 30 years. And we, according to the American Association of Community Colleges, only 41% are going to school full time, and 59% are going part time. And I think that has a lot to do with kids like us not being able to pay for college, so we only go part time and then we work in order to pay those expenses. And financial aid isn't really there to help us. I know I've had to I got accepted to a private school out out of high school, and I had to turn it down because it was just way too expensive and I couldn't afford it. So I decided to go to community colleges for 2 years, and then transfer out of there. And I think a lot of us are kind of in that situation. A lot of us have done that. I know a few of my friends have done that. Because student loans just don't work, and we don't get enough financial aid from the state or from the federal government. So a lot of us are being forced into these student loans more and more, and that's something we don't want to do because we don't want to be in debt when we graduate. And imagine wanting to become a high school history teacher, and you graduate from high school, you go to college, and you get your degree, you go and get your credentials to become a teacher, and you start teaching. And for the first 10 years that you're teaching, you're having to pay off this debt. And this is actually a true story about my high school basketball coach, who was also a history teacher. He wasn't driving around an Escalade the whole time that he was teaching. He was driving like a Toyota Celica, and he's like 6 feet tall and like 300 pounds. Like, he should not be driving a compact car, but it was something he was forced to do because he had to pay off those student loans. And I think 10 years especially is way too long for someone that, like, teachers don't get paid enough as it is, and I think 10 years to be paying off student loans is way too long. I don't think any of us in this room want to be doing that. So I think we need to just speak out against the rising tuition costs, because I don't think if anybody does our age, then nobody will. Because if we're not worried about it, then why should other people worry about it? So, thank you.
So, Ritz, did you come in?
Oh, yeah.
What did you think?
In the beginning, he said a lot. I think he was just kind of nervous, got comfortable. His story about the basketball teacher right now, that made, kind of made me think about it. Pretty interesting. I like the topic. It's pretty clear. Seemed kind of comfortable, off and on. Pretty good speech.
Okay. The audience survey is a little odd because I think everybody in here is paying tuition. I doubt that there's anybody who doesn't have fees. But the quote that you had from the College Board about costs I thought was pretty effective. You set up your claim pretty clearly. You never come back to why the costs or the fees that were being paid before the increase were the legitimate fees, and why going back to that would be particularly appropriate. And that sounded like it was going to be your goal. Your speech stays a little bit more general about the problems with high costs and the implication for students. The solution is, not really developed. What are we going to do about this particular problem? How can we afford to go back to those fees that were cheaper? What issues, what choices can we make? What substitutes are possible? What alternative ways of financing? I didn't really think that there was much development on that particular point, and that's really the issue that you're up against. I like the example of the basketball coach, high school history teacher. There's a good illustration about some of the problems with the loans. I think you could develop some more information about the problems with loans. 10 years does seem like a long time, but over 10 years, I don't know how much that you're paying each month on those particular loans. If you had $40,000 in loans over 10 years and you're paying $250 a month, well, in proportion for somebody who is driving a car, you pay that much for car insurance, so I'm not sure it's all out of line with what you're doing. On the other hand, if you're going to a private school and you're paying double that or triple that, I could see why there might be issues that you'd have to deal with. The link between wealth and tuition costs sounded a little bit specious to me. It seems like you are making a huge inferential leap there, and I think you're better off by talking about what the costs of colleges are. I heard let me stop.